Hello everyone and welcome back to DET Coach's Beginner's Guide to the Duolingo English Test. In the previous lesson, we became familiar with the interactive speaking process. In this lesson, we'll practice a complete set of 6 connected questions. For each question, we'll begin as you would on the real test. Listen to the audio once and identify what it asks you to do. Then we'll review a complete sample spoken response. You can organize the 35 seconds in this way. Answer directly in the first 5 seconds. Develop one central content point over the next 20 seconds, and use the final 10 seconds for an example, result, or brief conclusion. This is only a suggested structure, so you do not need to time every sentence precisely. Connected questions build on the same topic, but the task can change from one question to the next. When you hear why, add a reason. When you hear tell me about a time, describe a brief experience. When you hear how can students, provide a specific method. Phrases such as one reason is, one experience that comes to mind is, and one practical way is help you begin responding to the current task quickly. They only introduce the answer to this question, so follow them immediately with new content. When connecting to the previous question, one phrase such as I mentioned, for that reason, or another example is enough. Do not repeat your entire previous response simply to make the answers consistent. Now listen to the first question. You will hear it only once.
Where do you usually study when you need to focus?
The first question asks where, so the first sentence should give the study location directly. After establishing the location, add the situation in which you use it, one specific detail, and the effect it has on your concentration. Here is the sample spoken response from the lesson materials. The sentences will be highlighted on screen, in sync with the narration. I usually study on the second floor of my university library. I go there when I need to read a difficult chapter or write an essay because it is quiet and has plenty of natural light. I choose a desk near the window, put my phone in my bag, and keep only my laptop and notes on the table. Once I start, I can normally stay focused for about 40 minutes without getting distracted. The response follows a clear structure. It gives the location first, then explains when the speaker goes there, how distractions are reduced, and the resulting effect on concentration. Next, listen to the second question.
Why does that place help you study well?
This question asks why. You can refer directly to that place in the opening, but the new focus must be the reason. Choose one main reason, then explain it with details about the environment and the practical result. That place helps me study because there are far fewer distractions than at home. The desks are separate, people speak quietly, and everyone around me is working. Seeing other students concentrate encourages me to do the same. I also choose one task before I begin, and avoid checking my phone until I finish it. Because of this simple routine, I can understand what I read and complete my work more quickly. This answer connects to the library from the previous question and adds details about distractions, the behavior of nearby students, and the speaker's study routine. The content is related, but it does not repeat the first answer. Now listen to the third question.
What do you do when you want to take a short break from studying?
The topic is still study habits, but the task has changed from the study location to how you take a break. First, say what you do, then explain why this kind of break does not disrupt your study rhythm. When I need a short break, I leave my desk and walk outside for about 5 minutes. I stretch my shoulders, drink some water, and look around instead of checking social media. If I open my phone, a 5-minute break can easily become 20 minutes. Walking gives my eyes and mind a rest, but it does not pull me away from my work. When I return, I usually feel more awake and ready to continue. This answer does not continue describing the library. It fully explains what the speaker does during a short break, what they avoid, and how they feel after returning. Next, listen to the fourth question.
Tell me about a time when you had to change your study plan.
Tell me about a time asks for a specific experience. At a minimum, the response should include when it happened, the original problem, the change you made, and the result. The verb tense should also switch to the past. Last semester, I changed my study plan 2 days before a history exam. I had planned to review every chapter, but a practice test showed that I still did not understand 2 topics. I decided to spend less time on the chapters I already knew and focus on the difficult ones. I made a short timeline and asked a classmate about one confusing event. That change saved time and made me feel much more prepared for the exam. If you say only I usually change my plan when necessary, the specific experience required by the question is still missing. The sample moves from the problem to the adjustment and then the result, making the event complete. Next, listen to the fifth question.
How can students balance study time and free time?
This question no longer asks about the personal experience from the previous answer. It asks you to suggest a method for students. Give one practical action in the first sentence, then add specific steps and explain the benefit of organizing time this way. Students can balance study and free time by setting a few clear priorities each day. For example, they can choose 2 important tasks, decide when to complete them, and take short breaks between study periods. After those tasks are done, they can spend time with friends, exercise, or enjoy a hobby without feeling guilty. A simple plan gives the day some structure, but it also leaves enough time to rest and avoid feeling exhausted. The question asks how, so the answer centers on the method of setting priorities. The task schedule and suggestions for rest that follow explain how to put this method into practice. Finally, listen to the sixth question.
What is one free time activity that can also help students learn something?
The question asks for only one activity. Name one activity first, then explain what participants do and what learning benefit it provides. A discussion club is a free time activity that can also help students learn. Members can talk about films, books, or news in a relaxed setting, so it feels more social than a normal class. At the same time, they practice explaining their ideas, listening to other people, and asking useful questions. For example, a discussion about a documentary may teach them new words and show them a different point of view. It is both enjoyable and educational. This answer remains focused on a discussion club without listing a second activity. Once you have clearly explained how the activity works and what students can learn from it, the answer is complete. Finally, consider 2 common mistakes. The first is repeating the previous answer without answering the current question. The second is adding several ideas without explaining any one of them in detail. In the next lesson, we'll move on to Speaking Sample 01 and learn about the question type and response process.